Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you
Good.
doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Is it hot there?
Oh, it's incredibly hot. It's like 110.
Oh, wow.
Gonna be 110. It's gonna be, yeah. Oh well. Winters are beautiful.
Whereabouts is it that you are in America again?
In Phoenix?
I'm Phoenix.
Yeah. Have you been to Arizona?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've never been to Arizona. I think that Colorado's near Arizona, is that right? I've been to Colorado,
So Colorado's a different state.
but it's
Uh,
above, isn't it?
yeah, it's above and it's a little bit east. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Sedona in Arizona?
Yes, yes, and
I
it's
nearly went to
beautiful.
Sedona, but I didn't end up there.
Yeah, it's a cool place to visit. It
Yeah,
has beautiful red rock, and apparently there's supposed to be a vortex there.
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of spiritual stuff up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, America's amazing for its nature. It's really got some
yeah.
amazing nature.
Well, Arizona actually has real diverse climate, so I can head 2 hours north and be 20 degrees cooler.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah,
They do that in India. They have like these hill stations. So you just, in the summertime, you go up the mountain and there's these beautiful hill stations that are very cool. We used to do
yeah,
that when we were visiting India. We'd go up when it got too hot.
yeah. So you were talking about you were answering the one question about or you were talking about everything is consciousness and the like the rivers and the trees. Is that kind of like how you see things?
Yeah, but not me on the human level. On the human level, it sees things in subject object. So on the human level, like on the thinking level, it sees things like this is a this is a chair and I'm speaking to Lewis or Harry or Khaleesi. So on that level, it's subject object. But beyond that, there is my my essence and your essence. It's just that it sees everything because non-duality. It's just that the focus is on the person, and there can be this energetic shift where it's just known that who's experiencing now isn't that person. It's not even mental. It's got nothing to do with the mental layer. It's beyond the mental layer. But we communicate about it. But it's seeing that it's just a shift, and knowing yourself as everything rather than as a limitation. So before, I used to be bound to all my thoughts and ideas of myself, and I felt like that's who I was, and then that stops. But it's still, there is still a character, so there is this character that comes up and sees everything in subject object. When I used to speak, I feel like I wasn't so clear about making a difference between the character and the absolute. Like that it's not, I used to be very clear, I think, always that it's not the person that wakes up, but I used to like make them too close together. Like the person very much stays a person, and it needs to stay a person in order to navigate this world.
Right. Do you like bounce between the two different perceptions, kind of, or
It's not quite like that.
oh,
That sounds like a logical like statement, like that you bounce between one and the other. It's not quite like that.
no?
No.
I'm just trying to like understand like for
Yeah.
for you what your perception is that
Well, for Lisa, the character, the perception is, I presume, it's not that the Lisa the character doesn't perceive, but the Lisa is perceived, but the Lisa character, the way she thinks, is in subject and object. So the way the Lisa character thinks is that I'm sitting on a sofa and I'm talking to Dennis. So that's one level of the experience. The Lisa character very much feels divided, but then there's something that's experiencing that character, and there's an energetic shift that can happen to that. And that which is experiencing this character doesn't start or doesn't stop and isn't a thing. And you can't even really say it's experiencing the character, or it's experiencing things. In one way, it's not separate from all of that, so even that sounds divided. It's just that there is this layer to us. It's not even layer, there is this base of us that's not divided. Our essence isn't divided. It's never been divided. So even now when you're listening to me, energetically, the focus is on the interpretation, the character level. So the character is an interpreter and interprets the world and then tells stories about what it does. And in your world, there's an energy that's focused on that. But there's something that knows that person and knows that the sound of my voice, and it's silent and it's here and it's free and it's expanded already. Even in your experience, it's just that energetically your focus is on the storyteller and the stories you're telling yourself about this and that, and listening to me, and that you're sitting on a bed without your shirt on and all these things.
Oh, so like, so what, maybe you can give me some advice on this.
Yeah.
So I have to sit in these trainings, and I know I've listened to your empath video, and I so much identify with that.
Yeah.
And I'm in this room with an incredible amount of people, and it's so overwhelming. And last week when I walked away, I kind of recognized it as I was overwhelmed by all that energy because the empath, I think. But is there like something I can do that will help me like not suffer and struggle while I'm sitting through all that silliness?
Yeah. Um, as an empath, you do have to experience the pain of that. So like yesterday, my mum had to have not a serious procedure done, but a small procedure done at the hospital, and I just could feel everything. I could feel it when she felt sick. I could feel it when afterwards, when she was really hungry, because they don't let you eat. And the way that I feel it is that I'm starving, I feel sick, and then as soon as I move away into different energy, I feel differently. And when I was in the hospital, like the energy in the hospital isn't great, and you just have to bear the pain of that. And that's part of being an empath. It also has great sides, being an empath, but like everything, it comes with pleasure and pain. And because you're see-through in a way as an empath, you just pick up everything that's around you, like it's a personality quality, and you just have to bear the pain of that when you put yourself in public situations. The way I think that like a lot of empaths, I think, go insane in our society because it is too overwhelming and there's no validation for it.
Yeah.
And the only freedom that I've found in regards to that, like my personality did change and recondition a lot, but in regards to the empath stuff, well, I did find freedom on the human level. I'll talk about that in a moment to an extent. But the true freedom that I found from it, because it is a very tense experience being an empath, is knowing who you are, which is not a thing and not that pain and everything. Like this recognition and this energetic resting in what you are, because it is painful. The other thing on the human level that gave me relief as well about being an empath was understanding it fully. And I'm still understanding and learning it, actually. So it's like really, like the more I understood it, the easier it became, because like part of it's like not knowing what's happening that's difficult for the empath, like not knowing why certain things are happening and why you're having certain emotions, and that's what's relaxing for the empath. You're so sensitive if you're a full empath, then you feel everything. Every time you go into contact with someone, and you can't distinguish what's yours and their feelings, because you just absorb their feelings. So if they feel sick, you feel sick. If they feel angry, you feel angry.
Right.
It's quite something. But if they feel joyful, then you'll quickly pick up on it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry.
This is, I think, why I resonated so much with non-duality, because when I listened to teachers that had this energetic shift, like being the empath, I could feel that freedom really clearly when they spoke.
Yeah, I know. I think what has helped me tremendously is because when you are, and you know this because you are, but when you are and you go through life and you're overwhelmed, 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 but and we talked, and me having been in recovery for a long, long time and doing all that work, and then finding out like about empath, and that's very, very helpful.
Yeah,
It's so very helpful. And
yeah,
I do have boundaries now, and I do, so that's really, really helpful. But I just love,
yeah.
what you just said and the way you describe it and all that kind of stuff. It's
But
beautiful.
it's also like even with your boundaries, it's not like you always have to dance with the empath because even if you put up a boundary, if you're around somebody that has a very strong want, you're going to begin to adopt their want because you're see-through. The empath gets that joy of being a very see-through character where they just feel their
Oh
environment and
yeah.
he's sensitive to the environment. So even when you put up your boundary like really firmly and really strictly, if you keep putting around that person, then you're going to begin to absorb their wants.
Yeah, yeah. See through. That's the perfect description of
It
it.
really is like it's really like morphing to your environment. Like it's not even morphing to your environment, it's just your see-through. So when like you've got like a basic personality, like Lisa's got a basic personality that happens, but then whenever people come in, I just feel them so intensely as if they're me on the human level.
Uh,
And that's
I
and,
think
that,
that's what.
and that's how I begin to like I mean I think this is how psychics work. I don't claim to be a psychic as such, or I don't know about all that in that world. But what I notice is that predominantly I'm pretty spot on, like with how people feel. Like not all the time, and I never want to be arrogant about it. But you, like, if you're sitting there speaking to someone, you're feeling really good, and then you begin to feel annoyed. Either they've crossed your boundary, or you're picking up their annoyance. You can never tell. You have to be really humble as an empath because you can never tell what it is. You're never going to get to know that. You're just see through. So everything, any energy that you come in contact with, you'll feel it immensely. And you have to be humble enough to be able to carry that, to be able to always not know and not assume that other humans are going to tell you the truth because mostly they don't know what they're feeling. They're unconscious of it, and they most probably don't want to speak about it. It's really something.
Yeah, I think that's why I enjoy your talk so much because it is see through. It's just transparent and you don't get that very often.
Yeah,
You really don't.
yeah,
And your talk on gurus, man, no one's talking about that. No
yeah,
one's exposing all the insanity that happens in those. You are.
yeah. Yeah, I really I can get quite passionate about that side of things. Like um, the most important thing that I see on the human level is just honesty. Your life is going to be so much simpler if you're just honest about things. And most of the time, people are being dishonest with themselves and with others. Like it's just coming to that honesty. So with the guru thing, like I I can also see how it can be helpful for people to go into that structure and to live in groups. But if that guru and if everybody was honest in that situation, that to me is when the profound stuff happens, when everyone can just say really deeply what they feel. But often people don't. Even the guru doesn't necessarily know what they feel, even if they've had big awakenings, because it's not anything they've put attention on. They're maybe not an empath, and it's maybe not relevant to them because they're more fixated on what they want. But like if the empath were, if the guru would sit there and say, look, guys, I have to admit that I'm sitting here and really what I'm wanting is to have sex with people. This is be really beautiful. That would be really, I love
Right.
that when somebody's really honest, like they can just sit there and they can just own their shit and just say, I'm human, like, and let people decide rather than like trying to mask it in like rings and diamonds or like looking really fancy or trying to present yourself as higher than other people in order to get the sex. It's like it's this. This is and this is where I think like this is an effect I think of waking up is that that becomes less concerned about trying to put a mask on, and so there does become more honesty. In not all cases, because I do see a lot of teachers and a lot of people speaking that I don't think are so honest. And I think that's because they're more focused on what they want. It might be because they haven't had awakening, but it could be they have had awakening and it just manifests differently in different people. But I do, from my experience, that is like quite a strong effect, is that you're not bothered to try to be something special. Like you're not bothered to try to like put on like all these fancy whistles and bells because there's this freedom right here that's so intense. So you might desire like, you know, to dress okayly, like quite nicely or something, but there's not like a deep desire to get all these things or to have all these things. And you're more attracted to just simplicity, just to be, rather than to be doing all these things. Like so, and in order to do that, you have to give up trying to live up to any image that you think you need to be to get things. So living up to being like really charismatic or presenting that you're a really nice, peaceful person, or what else is presented at these things? Yeah, presented that you're getting there or that you've arrived there, like you as somebody's arrived there. Like all of that is more to me about crafting and living up to some image in your head. And really what begins to happen is that you just are spontaneously expressing yourself. Like, so words come out, reactions come out, but there's nobody in there deeply trying to manipulate it in order to get things. Like obviously everybody wants something, but it's very mild. It becomes very mild, so it's just the body's doing it naturally. The body's naturally communicating or naturally expressing itself. Do you understand what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. I absolutely understand what you're talking.
Like,
Yeah, that image, keeping up an image, and
yeah,
yeah,
just deeply relaxing so that you're just responding. You're just saying what you say. And everyone's always afraid of that because they think if they let go into that, then darkness will overtake them, or that there'll be no rules, there'll be no ethics. But it's really not true. The body won't be like that. The body will have ethics and have control and self-restraint. If
right.
anything, it'll be more ethical because it'll be being so honest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Um, so like when I did get sober, then I was able to finally talk to people, and now it's like a tsunami. And I would really like to transition to something like that for like job wise. You have any thoughts on that?
What do you like? Talk to people like
Talk to help them be able to express themselves. So people that are shut down, that don't know how to express themselves, to
yeah,
give that gift that I was given because I didn't have it and I was so confused.
yeah. Um, can't you do it already in your job in teaching?
I can to a certain extent, especially like with teaching writing. So that, yeah, I can do it to a certain extent.
Yeah,
But I think, but I know in my experience, it's such a healing.
yeah,
Uh, and exactly what you're talking about is people talk about what they think they should talk about, and I'm not that, and I really relate to you, and that's how I put myself out there, and to be able to share that like you do,
yeah,
just profession wise, I think it would be so much more rewarding for me
yeah,
because education is very stifling.
yeah.
Oh, all the,
On an easy, like if we were thinking an easy way, because in a way everything is easy. Like you just put your heart into it and you just do it. So you could
Hmm.
You could just start doing it, like start speaking on the internet,
Oh,
or
okay.
or the other way you could do it is working in a more alternative school. That would be the easier way. Like easy and hard is a mentality. So saying that's the easier way for you, I don't mean to like dampen your wants or your desires. Because if you want to go
Right.
big, you can go big.
Right.
And you can think of something bigger or different than that. But to me, I would have thought if I was in your position with teaching, like I love teaching, and I always thought that I would have quite liked to teach young adults. Like I
Okay.
still have a feeling that might like come about for me, like teaching like young, like like maybe 16 to 21 year olds or 24 years old or something. And like if I was in your situation, I would look at schools that were more alternative, that allowed me to express this more candidly with the people I was working with.
So maybe more along the lines of arts related or at risk,
On
real at.
in Europe, I don't know what it's like in America. In Europe, we um, we have like Steiner schools and
Is that similar to Montessori,
yeah,
Steiner?
Montessori school,
Okay, okay, okay.
Montessori. What's it called? Montessori. Sorry.
Montessori,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
Montessori schools, and there's a wide range of them actually. That
Oh yeah,
these alternative schools. I don't know if that's what it's like in America.
oh yeah.
You can,
Yeah, we have all kinds of charters, and then some of them will actually have a focus on like art, drama, music, and some will be real highly structured, which is real anal.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Like and I personally like it might be easier for you to work with older children. Like
Yeah,
easier, like to be able to, because older children, it's often in teenage years when they begin to shut down. So opening up more to that. There's so many
yeah.
different things you could do, like in university.
Yeah, I've taught a couple of university classes and I love that. It's hard to
Yeah,
get in full time because everyone does adjunct or part-time teachers, but I did work in an alternative online high school and there is a lot of opportunity there.
yeah,
Might be another that might be that's a really good idea. I cringe at working with high school kids, but when you are able to do like the small group and connect and go where I'm talking about, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because they all want to talk. That's what I
yeah,
found. I would get them in a small group, and you would get the ones that you could see that would be doing the Columbine thing because they're so shut down, but they're just so expressive. They're just
yeah,
dying to express themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good idea.
I used to work with 16 to 18-year-olds in emotional behavioral disorder units, they used to call them. This was quite 10, 15
Right,
years ago. And I used
right.
to, I mean, it was really difficult, but um, there were opportunities there. Like, it was really difficult because you were very, like, limited, like, with what you could do. But when I used to teach them playwriting or drama or something, there was more opportunity. But that was hard because that was very much in the, like, the mainstream society. If I was a teacher, I would go to a really alternative school that really was out there.
Well,
And
yeah, that makes so much sense because I'm of the alternative mindset,
yeah,
always have been. And I'm just out. I'm a lot like you, I think, just out
yeah,
there myself, and
yeah.
you know,
And I had so many inspiring teachers when I was young. Well, actually, not that many, but when I went to college, I went to this college. It was really amazing, and we had this teacher. I forget his second name, but his first name was called Dan, and he just had such a profound effect on me because he was so open-minded, and just like introduced me to so many amazing plays and different ways of seeing things just through teaching theatre. Like he was so open-minded, and I was like 16 at the time, and it just really it was amazing. Like he had such an effect on me, and he'll never know that now. I just track him down and
yeah.
tell him. I really like he got me reading Clockwork Orange when I was 16, and he
Reading
cast me.
what?
Do you know Clockwork Orange?
Oh, Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
I've never seen the movie nor read it. Maybe I'll
yeah.
check.
And it's just really alternative and about society, like very like anti society or left wing, and it just really opened my mind. Like we really intensely studied it, and we really went into it in depth, and we like really explored it, and eventually we performed it. But in all of that, like we had to explore like so many different things and areas and understand it, and just that. So just doing one semester of that like really opened me up to a different way of thinking. Like that whole 2 years that I studied with him, he opened up to so many things, and a lot of the teachers there were like it. It was actually run by mainstream
Nice.
government, but it just was a really open-minded department, and they were all friends, the teachers, and just to really open my eyes to a different way of seeing the world, even though it was theatre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I was a teacher, this is what I would do.
I really like that. I really like that. Yeah. And I've always seen myself as writing kids' books, but I haven't put the effort in. I'm very gifted as far as writing skills
Yeah.
and imagination, playfulness, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you see, teaching something like writing can be just as profound as teaching something like non-duality. Like if you teach that, like
Expression.
if you're allowed to teach it properly, that's often the problem in mainstream schools is you're not allowed. But if you're really allowed to explore what writing is and the fact that our whole society is made up from stories. It's not just in the novels, it's not just in the book. Our whole society is based on stories. The way we know how to get to the supermarket is through a story. And then eventually, I mean, now we've got the navigations, but it's a story in our mind that we drive up the road, we turn left, we turn right. Like it's all stories, like our society, our world, the way we see things. And when you can begin to communicate that in something like teaching someone to write, that really can have an effect. It's like a practical thing that it's not like preaching at someone. It's like a practical thing that opens up their mind for their own exploration.
And their soul.
Yeah,
It's like watching a really good movie or listening to really good lyrics. You know that's coming from deep down in,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it with anything. Like you can do it with music. I mean, any subject you can. Even if you're doing economics, you get the right teacher that teaches economics, and that could blow your mind. Trying to understand economics. I mean, the philosophy of economics is fascinating. All subjects. If you look at history, all of it, if it's taught in the right way with that creative mind, then you can convey this subject, you can convey non-duality, and you can help them open their mind to all possibilities, like anything, even geography or history, maths, like
Yeah.
all of it taught. Like I remember I always thought that maths was dull, and then I dated a guy that had like a doctorate in maths, and then he started talking about the philosophy of maths to me, and I was just like, wow, maths is so amazing. I didn't know
Yeah,
this
it's
at
exact
school.
science.
Yeah.
It's so exact. It's and if you like look at history realistically, you can really talk about how horribly destructive humans are and how caught up in the human small-mindedness,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And you can talk
Yeah.
about the development of the self, like how that self developed. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can talk about that in mainstream, but you could talk about it without non-duality in it, like the fact that we've got self-awareness and animals don't, and the development of being able to speak and then being able to refer to ourselves, and then the different ways in different languages that we refer to ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so much there. Like being a teacher is really a gift. Like being a teacher to children, it's really. I've always felt like it's something I would like to do. I still feel it will happen for me. Like I
Oh,
will,
that's
but
hard.
older
Oh,
children, like 16 most probably to 21, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I get the sense that would be the age. Like that, I was quite good at working with the difficult kids. Like, and they were all 16 to 21. Even
Yeah.
though I wouldn't go back into that now, that was so hard. Like we sometimes used to have to go into prisons. Like they were like prison schools. It was
Right,
really quite
right.
intense.
Yeah,
It's
those
not the
jobs.
not the best way to treat kids.
Oh no. No. Apparently there's some countries that treat prisoners fairly well and probably cut down on a lot of the return to crime as a
Yeah.
result of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Lisa.
Oh, with pleasure.
You're,
Thank you for calling and asking the questions.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and you are teaching. You're teaching a lot.
Yeah.
You are.
I mean that's what I'm registered as a teacher. A teacher of
Yeah.
philosophy. That's in France. You have to like name what you are, and
Yeah.
that's what we came up with. Teacher of philosophy.
Well, have a good rest of your day or night.
Thank you very much, and have a beautiful day. I hope you don't roast. You have to go to the
Oh,
supermarket to get the
I
AC.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fortunate.
When
But
when I used to live in Thailand, it was you'd go to the 7-Eleven and just go very slowly around the supermarket.
uh,
Yeah. Nice.
yeah.
Oh, thanks, Dennis.
All right. Take care.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.